Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It already starts on day one. I was saying this yesterday, that this new Republican House majority needs to be focused on one thing and one thing alone: accountability. It's been 4 years straight of a weaponized House of Representatives, Democrat corruption and abuse of power, shadow coup operations involving federal agencies. It's been 4 years of blatant corruption and misuse of power in front of our very eyes, and it's about damn time that Republicans start fighting back and launching investigations of their own. Like I always say, Democrats launched investigations based on nothing, based on phony information, a salacious dossier, false accounts, and false media reports, and in some cases just because they wanted to. They've abused their power for so long and launched all of these attacks and investigations, and now it's Republicans' turn to do the same thing except a little bit different. They're not going to be launching these investigations based on nothing or phony information. There is actual evidence of wrongdoing. And so if any group should be launching an investigation, it's the Republicans right now, and guess what? Day one, they've promised to do exactly that. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean as things get real serious. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so let's first start off with a little celebration.
And with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress.
But jokes and memes aside, Nancy Pelosi is not only no longer the Speaker of the House, she's also not seeking re-election to Democrat leadership in the next Congress.
My friends, no matter what title you all, my colleagues, have bestowed upon me, Speaker, Leader, Whip, there is no greater official honor for me than to stand on this floor and to speak for the people of San Francisco. This I will continue to do as a member of the House, speaking for the people of San Francisco, serving the great state of California, and defending our Constitution. And with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress.
You know what that means? No more Nancy Pelosi, at least not in the same doses. We're going to be going on a Nancy Pelosi diet and Nancy Pelosi fast, and I'd say that's certainly cause for celebration. But what this really means is that Republicans now have control over committees and investigations. And this is big, because we know that under Nancy Pelosi's leadership, we've seen not only multiple impeachments, but the now nearly 2-year running January 6th Commission nonsense. Well, it all comes to a crashing end, a total halt, and it's time to flip the script. And it's already started, folks. Republicans taking over the House just announced this.
We are releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We are also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary production of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the President of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the President's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, and that's where the committee will focus in this next Congress.
This is a direct investigation into Joe Biden. And they're going as far to say that they have evidence of wrongdoing, and evidence of crimes of corruption, money laundering, fraud, even naming a specific law, and also saying that Joe Biden is in violation or possibly connected to or guilty of human trafficking. And finally, the conversation is no longer Hunter Biden, but rather making the connection of Joe Biden to the whole scheme, the whole pay-for-play scheme. The question is, it always has been and it should be, is Joe Biden the big guy? I mean, we have direct public testimony suggesting that he is, from a close business partner in Tony Bobulinski, who stated unequivocally that 1,000% he knows that Joe Biden is the big guy, and yet we've seen no investigation, no federal investigation. Well, it seems like finally it's on. Also, when I mentioned accountability in yesterday's video, we spoke about accountability for Democrat abuse of power and specifically the politicization and weaponization of the DOJ and other federal agencies. Well, this seems to be a target as well, as Jim Jordan explains.
Is the FBI going to quit interfering with elections? 2016, they spied on President Trump's campaign. 2018, it was the Mueller investigation. 2020, they suppressed information about the Hunter Biden story. 2022, they raided the president's home 91 days before an election. Maybe it'd be nice if the FBI and the Justice Department just stayed out of it and let we the people decide who we think should represent us, who we think should lead us. That's supposed to be how America works. So this is the focus on the Judiciary Committee, the political nature at the Justice Department, and the linkage now to what was happening with the Hunter Biden story. Again, just 15 days before we have a presidential election.
I mean, Democrats launched their investigations into Russian interference in American elections, of course, the connection being to Donald Trump. There was never any there. It was a total nothing burger based on totally salacious information. Well, what about Democrat influence using federal agencies to actually interfere in elections? It coming to earth a couple weeks ago, the suppression of the laptop story on Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms was actually urged by the FBI, a politicized FBI that seems to be used as an arm and extension of the Democrat Party and their interest. I mean, that was a major bombshell story, which we covered once, and of course we mentioned quite often. Other people in the independent media sphere, at least on the right, and of course some people in the middle will mention and cover it, but it's something that's so massive with deeply destructive implication, and the mainstream media totally ignores it. Washington doesn't seem to care. Well, I think it's time to really shed some light on the corruption, the weaponization, the bias at these federal agencies, and just the lengths that they are willing to go to get their way to retain power and to do the Democrat Party's bidding, regardless of how dirty that work ends up being. It's time to start connecting the dots, because the dots are there, you just need to connect them. And already the GOP plans on forming these connections. Evidence of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, their connection in a scheme with Chinese energy firms.
At a time when Americans are suffering from high energy prices because of this administration's terrible energy policy, we find evidence that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were involved in a scheme to try to get China to buy liquefied natural gas, and from a whistleblower to try to get their foot in the door with China starting to purchase an interest in natural gas drillers. Now, people are in outrage over China buying farmland in the Dakotas. What about China starting to buy into our American energy industry at a time when we have an energy crisis because of the bad policies of the Biden administration? Now let that sink in.
Connect the dots, expose them all. Now is not the time to sit by and pretend as if you're taking the high road by not launching investigations. Well, the Democrats did that, so we probably shouldn't. No, the Democrats did it in the most corrupt manner possible with no evidence. It's time to play the same game except with actual evidence and real connections to criminal conspiracies and criminal behavior. It's time to hold them accountable. And Lord knows, I hope that it doesn't end here. I hope Hillary Clinton is on that list, that very long list, because Lord knows there's some skeletons in that closet, and Lord knows there is a significant amount of evidence, more than circumstantial evidence, to use Adam Schiff's little famous or infamous quote, involving the Clintons in a bunch of different conspiracies, namely Russiagate and the shadow coup that they launched to unseat a duly elected president and undo an election by illegally framing Donald Trump in an effort to have him impeached. It all comes full circle. It's time to turn this whole thing around, like I stated, flip the script, and play the same games the Democrats play. No longer can the neocon status quo be accepted, because frankly, they're one and the same. They're in the same group, the same party as these deep state Democrat operatives. It's time for some transparency, some accountability launch these investigations. You gotta love to see it. But of course, we have to see where it goes and whether they're being actually honest here. Of course, I will keep you guys updated on everything. We will follow every single little update and inch of anything involving investigations against Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and the rest of them. But that's this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for joining the community here. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.